Diversity is a concept or a state of mind that encompasses two things, and that is acceptance and respect. You know, the United States is made up of a hodgepodge of all kinds of people, all kinds of races, with all kinds of different ideas and things. And it's very important that we recognize and we actually celebrate the differences that we have. And when we talk about our differences, when you think about diversity, you normally think along the lines of race, but it also includes ethnicity, socioeconomic status, age, physical abilities, religious beliefs, and political beliefs. So there's a lot of differences that we have. And when you embrace this state of mind of respect and acceptance, then diversity it happens. And when you look around, you see diversity, and it can be a very beautiful and a very powerful thing. And when you promote diversity, it basically means the exploration of these differences in a very positive, safe, and a nurturing environment. You know, in terms of numbers, diversity actually equals 1. Now, I want to clear up a couple of misconceptions because I want to talk for a second about what diversity is not. Diversity is not a program, it's not a goal, and it's not something that can be forced upon people in an organization. Either you have it or you don't. And I think people tend to still confuse diversity with the old affirmative action programs of the 70s. You guys remember that. And the quota systems. And back then, I mean, that all had its place, but of course it's pretty much outdated now. Because back then, of course, as you remember, there was a lot of institutional discrimination against women and minorities, and particularly with companies that were getting a lot of money from the federal government. And the federal government basically says that it's unfair that, you know, we all have to pay taxes and they were allowed to discriminate. So, but once again, the world has changed, our nation has changed drastically, and we really don't need those programs anymore. Discrimination in hiring has basically had to take a back seat to a lot more critical issues that we face today, like homeland security, terrorism, war, economic security. In the case of businesses, it's just a matter of survival. I want to give you a comparison. Now, this is something that I came up with myself. This is a Gregory Black original. But think of it as this. Think of someone gives you a gift, and you discard that gift because you don't like the color of the wrapping paper. And you place the value of that gift on the wrapping paper, because that's all skin is. It's just wrapping paper. And sex and all that is wrapping paper. But the true value of an individual lies in what's inside that individual. And that's what I think is important. I mean, we're celebrating Martin Luther King's birthday. That's what he preached, is that judge me not by the wrapping paper, by what's inside the box. How many of you ever threw out a present because you didn't like the color of the wrapping paper? So, anyway. And let me say one more thing, too. Those of us who are here that are believers, who do you think wrapped the gift? I mean, I didn't wrap myself. So who are we to judge? I mean, it's part of God's plan, and it's not our place to judge that. So I think that's a pretty good comparison, but once again, that's a Gregory Black original there. But we hear more and more about diversity today, and I think that in America, we're gaining a new understanding of what it takes to be successful, and it's requiring us to think more. Because in the business world, the only color that matters now is what? Green. That's right. The color of money. You know, one thing that drives diversity today is a winning spirit. And when you think about it, where do you find the most diversity? It's in areas where there is the most competition. Let's take our military, for example. How many of you in here have served in the military? Okay, see, I'm sure you've had a chance to see it. You know, our military is by far the best in the world, no question. Our military is also the most diverse military in the world. And, you know, I served as a naval officer for 21 years, and I trained with militaries all around the world. And one of the things the other military officers used to marvel at how the United States could get so many people from so many backgrounds and so many colors and sexes to all work together so well. And you know how they do it? Think about it. When they first go to boot camp, you come in, and they don't give a damn how rich you are. They don't care, what sex you are, what race you are. You're all treated the same, right? They put you in line. They shave well, they don't shave the women's head anymore, but but everybody's treated the same. And you're all what? A bunch of lowly maggots. And then what they do is they start rebuilding into understanding that the person next to you, regardless of race, creed, or color, your life may depend on that person one day, and you work together as a team. And another reason why the military is so diverse is that it actually had a 20-year head start. I had an opportunity to speak down in Key West, Florida, for a large group of people, and it was Harry Truman's 125th birthday celebration. And one of Harry Truman's legacies, and I have the utmost respect for the man, but back in 1948, Harry Truman integrated the military. And it was 20 years before the rest of the nation. And when Harry Truman saw in World War II what was going on, he saw that it took all of us working together to win that war. I mean, it took all races, all colors, male, female, it took all of us to win the war. And the United States was firing on all cylinders. And of course, we won the war. And Harry Truman said after the war that there is no place in the military for racists, and there is no place in the military for sexism. And he integrated the military with a presidential order. Now, people thought he had lost his mind because, it was just unheard of at that time. And it was also an election year, and President Truman was up for re-election. And he said he didn't give a damn because it was what? It was the right thing to do. And he did it. And he was re-elected because people knew it was the right thing to do. And they respected him for it. But anyway, let's take the business world, for example. Now, another reason why diversity is becoming more important in the business world is because the demographics of our nation are rapidly changing. Let's take a look at a few statistics. In 2010, the Hispanic labor force has grown to be larger than the African American labor force, almost 14%. Asians will continue to be the fastest growing labor force in our country. They're going to grow 45% over the next decade. Women currently occupy over 50% of our workforce and are now working in every sector of our society. In fact, our workers, the majority of our workers in the future, in the next decade, will be women, minorities, and foreign nationals. So, America is becoming more diverse, and diversity is the way of the future. And as the military learned a long time ago, it's okay. One of the things I can say about the business world, there are a lot of smart people in the business world, and they get it. Diversity has moved in the business world from just being a nice thing to do, actually to being a business necessity. And in the process of diversifying, they're discovering that diverse candidates bring fresh, new concepts and insight to the organization. Think of an orchestra that has nothing but tubas. What would that sound like? Or bass drums, and I'm sure if you work hard enough, you could probably get all that to sound halfway decent. But when you add all the instruments and you get the best sounds out of all the instruments and they all play together, now you've got a beautiful symphony. And that's what the world is learning more and more. I just want to say, I know we're about out of time, but I just want to say one more thing. I'm not trying to say that diversity is the magic pill that's going to solve all ills in our society. And I tell you one thing I know most of you may be thinking is that, you get it and you say, okay, we want to instill more diversity. We want to become more diversified. But in reality, sometimes it's a challenge to find minorities and women who are qualified. And that's one of the challenges that we face today. Of course, that's a whole different speech, but I think the bottom line is this. When it comes to diversity, I think that when we have the opportunity to embrace diversity and promote diversity, you can see that it can be a very very positive and a very powerful thing. I want to leave you with just 3 things, and that is that as leaders, here's what we can do to promote diversity in our societies. You can ensure that you promote diversity, make sure that you promote diversity and promote the positive aspects of diversity. And also look for systems in your organizations that are, and also individuals that may be a deterrent to diversity. Secondly, promote diversity promote a diversity-friendly environment, and make sure that you learn to accept and respect the differences of others. And we ourselves work to embrace diversity ourselves, because when people see us embrace diversity, of course, it affects how they look at other people. And of course, this is all for the good of our organizations, it's good for our communities, and it's a good thing for our nation.